Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and welcome to another episode of WAM News Live. I know I haven't been doing it a lot lately, mostly because, well, I've been sick, I've been traveling, I've been sick a bit more, I've been traveling a bit more. It's been an interesting few weeks for sure. The whole last month has just been havoc. But with that said, I'm happy to be seeing you all online here again. I'm waiting for some people to tune in before I really get into the stories. We're going to make it a little bit shorter than usual. I know I always say that, but I am so tired. Like I went through a flu and then a cold, and then I still have a lung infection, and then I'm heading to Africa, and it's just like, and traveling from country to country. It's been interesting. So it's kind of been hard on me. It's been wearing me out a bit. As you might see, I haven't been posting as many videos lately for that reason. I need to survive for obvious reasons. So it hasn't been as crazy. But I'm noticing that it says 0 people watching a minute in out of 120,000 subscribers. I'm not sure what's going on there. I hope some people can see this. Make sure to comment if you can see the video at all, because it's rather odd to see no one watching. Oh, I see. Hello from California from Imelda Andrade. Thank you for tuning in. I see 8 people of 120,000 people watching now. So that's moving in the right direction. Greg Hill says, hey, good to see you, man. Vira says, yee. Jesse says, I'm watching. Crypto Black Sheep says, Vegas in the house. I'm in Vegas as well. Let's kind of get into some of what's going on in the news right now. And good day to you as well, Will Hale from Sydney, Australia. Anyway, lots of people tuning in, so okay, I can get right to it then. So there's a few things in the news that I want to get into. First of all, I'm going to start off a little bit more slower with something that's not going to make me lose all my energy right off the bat. I've had a problem in the past doing these videos or these live streams where I'll get way too carried away, heated in the moment talking about something, and then by the next report I'm like worn out and half asleep. Anyway, have my coffee, and for those that are just tuning in and those that haven't seen this before, what I do is I go through these reports and I report on the things live, and then I close out the report, but don't go anywhere. I'm still here. And also super chats go to the top of the conversation as lots of people comment. I get to see your messages if you do super chats, and it allows me to get in touch with you more, and it helps keep us alive, seriously, as we're heavily shadow banned. And with that said, here's our Bitcoin address. If anyone is interested in sending any tips, we really do appreciate it. It makes all the difference in the world. So anyway, let's get right to it. Starting off here, this one should be good. All right, so what do we got here out of Bloomberg? As this article says, Avenatti indicted for embezzling money from disabled client. So we've recently been reporting on Michael Avenatti, of course, the creepy porn lawyer, as Tucker Carlson calls him. And you know how he was involved in the Stormy Daniels case and everything like that. And he just got really vicious. People around him said he was just a really disgusting individual and got a really bad vibe off of him. And then we find out that he was trying to basically extort people, allegedly, including Nike. And when Nike says just do it, they don't mean extortion, at least as far as I know. And anyway, let's get into this article. It says, as the article goes into, celebrity lawyer Michael Avenatti, who made his name as fierce critic of President Donald Trump, was indicted by a federal grand jury in California on 36 charges, including a new claim that he stole millions of dollars from a paraplegic client's settlement. The indictment moves 48 a step closer to a trial. He was charged in a criminal complaint in Santa Ana, California on March 25th for stealing a different client's $1.6 million settlement to cover his own expenses, as well as cheating a Mississippi bank. On the same day, prosecutors in New York accused him of trying to extort millions of dollars from Nike Incorporated. Real smart guy. Totally political material. I mean, he would have been a great president as far as criminal presidents go. Avenatti now faces additional charges, including wire fraud, tax violations, and lying under oath in a bankruptcy case, as well as claims involving several clients whose settlements he allegedly embezzled after deploying a web of lies. And I quote, money generated from one set of crimes was used to further other crimes, typically in the form of payments designed to string along victims so as to prevent Mr. Avenatti's financial house of cards from collapsing. U.S. Attorney Nicola Hanna in Los Angeles said Thursday at a press conference. And I quote, "It is Lawyer 101, Hanna said. You do not steal your client's money. Gee, you think? You don't steal money in general. I mean, government hates competition." Avenatti, who gained notoriety by representing porn actress Stormy Daniels in a lawsuit against Trump, denied the allegations and said the case comes after 2 decades of representing Davids versus Goliaths. "Along the way, I have made many powerful enemies," he said in an emailed statement. "I am entitled to full presumption of innocence and am confident that justice will be done once all of the facts are known." He's also defending himself on Twitter and says any claim that any monies due clients were mishandled is bogus nonsense. By way of example only, there are many more like this. Here is a document Mr. Johnson signed less than a month ago attesting to my ethics and how his case was handled. I look forward to proving my innocence. The allegations involving Avenatti's disabled former client, Jeffrey Ernest Johnson, add an element of depravity to the criminal case. Josh Robbins, a lawyer with Greenberg Gross LLP in Los Angeles, confirmed Johnson is the disabled man described in the indictment. Robbins now represents Johnson. Avenatti sued the county of Los Angeles on behalf of Johnson, who suffered severe emotional distress and several physical injuries, including paraplegia, according to the indictment. The county paid $4 million to resolve the case in January 2015, the U.S. said, but Avenatti hid the money and over a period of several months drained the settlement for his own benefit. Avenatti continued to lie to his client through last month, according to the indictment. He allegedly sent Johnson occasional payments of no more than $1,900 and paid the rent for his assisted living facility while falsely telling the man that the money was an advance on the settlement, the U.S. said. Robbins said Johnson was left destitute by Avenatti's actions and is now cooperating with prosecutors. Mr. Johnson is the victim of an appalling fraud perpetrated by one person who owed him loyalty and money, most of all, his own lawyer. Robbins said in an emailed statement, Mr. Avenatti stole millions of dollars that were meant to compensate Mr. Johnson for devastating injuries, spent it on his own lavish lifestyle, then lied about it to Mr. Johnson for years to cover his tracks. Social Security. Avenatti allegedly tried to cover up the scam by derailing Johnson's attempt to buy a house and lying to the Social Security Administration about the settlement, resulting in the client losing his Social Security benefits in February, according to the indictment. Avenatti also raided another client settlement in 2017 to pay $2.5 million for his portion of a jet, prosecutors said. Avenatti capitalized on how the Stormy Daniels case raised his profile, repeatedly assailing Trump and his former attorney, Michael Cohen. He even floated a possible presidential run. Avenatti also allegedly defrauded a bank in Mississippi, submitting false tax returns to get 3 loans for over $4 million in 2014 for his law firm and company he owns, Global Baristas US LLC. Of course, it's a barista company. I want to point out that it always seems to be the people that want to use the most force against others, push the idea of complete central planning and control of the populace, that seem to be most in favor of, hiding their money. It's like banks. They're like the biggest money launderers in the world, but then they report everyone else to the government if they dare to not want to be extorted. I think it's really a telltale sign, but I also want to mention something that I find interesting about this. It's the fact that as we see what's happening, of course, with someone like Julian Assange, someone who has never been proven wrong in anything that he's ever put forward on WikiLeaks, has never been proven wrong more than anyone, including us here at WAM, can ever say that we can't ever say that we were never wrong. Never mind Julian Assange's opinions, but the facts that are put forward, the declassified or classified documents leaked on WikiLeaks. Never proven wrong, not one of them, and no one has ever proven that they've endangered any lives. But when you're leaking information of people murdering people, Why is it that the person that leaks the information gets in trouble and not the people murdering people? Anyway, my point is, we have this honesty coming from someone like Julian Assange, and then at the same time, you have these people like Michael Avenatti, who was pushed up like a golden boy in the mainstream media, all while this Mueller investigation was going on, this Russia nonsense, all this fake news, one thing after another. And of course, the media isn't really, it was getting a lot more into like propping up Michael Avenatti than they are taking him down with all this craziness. Of course, Stormy Daniels has pushed herself away from him and all that kind of stuff as well. But I just find it very interesting, all of this, while, you know, people like Donald Trump, of course, say, I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing, says Trump following Assange's arrest. It's all political theater. It's all theater, and we cannot fall into it. We have this Michael Avenatti guy who's just one of many, many scumbags that are propped up by the media, as well as Hollywood, propping up these rapists and murderers and disgusting individuals, just disgusting pedophiles and pervs and degraded people, Harvey Weinstein, and then mixing the Hollywood realm with the political realm. It's all one part of one giant complex of propaganda and pushing people into dependence and servitude. But you see this stuff coming out about Michael Avenatti, obviously a really terrible person. Of course, these are allegations, they're not proven yet, but there's more than a few things coming out against him, and it's not just because he has a few powerful enemies, it's because he has been caught up time and time again in controversies that involve extortion and screwing people over, and eventually this kind of stuff catches up to a person. So I just wanted to point that out. I mean, the just going back and forth between mainstream media propaganda and who they prop up versus who they shove under the bus. The people that expose the lies, the people who expose the truth around us on a daily basis, those are the ones that are dangerous and must be thrown in jail. And that sets a very dangerous precedent for every single last one of us. And the further and further we fall down that hole of dependency, the more enslaved we get. The government is organized crime, taxation is theft, and the government only benefits from the enslavement of the populace, the dependency of the populace. And the government only does what benefits them. So what are you going to do about it, folks? Are we going to watch this theater play out more? We've only been doing it since, I don't know, ancient Greece. When do we actually start looking at this and going, well, maybe this is wrong. Maybe I should be a free individual. Maybe I shouldn't be extorted. Maybe I shouldn't be enslaved. Maybe I shouldn't be used to sacrifice as a pawn for the king and the queen. Something to think about for all of you watching this here today. Screw Avenatti. Good riddance to him. But on to the next, on to really fighting for our own individual freedom and self-responsibility, individual responsibility, not groupthink, not collectivist mantra nonsense under the guise of, I have a good idea, I think it should be forced on everyone, and the media says that this happened, so I'm just going to regurgitate it over and over again like a brainwashed slave. The mainstream media is dying because of stuff like this. Anyway, thanks for joining us today, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. All right, guys. So that's one report done. This always makes me really tired when for those just tuning in, I've been really sick off and on. The flu, first flu in 14 years, and then I got a lung infection right after. Unfortunate series of events, especially when I'm about to go to the Sahara Desert. Just, hope for the best for me, guys. Anyway, I'm going to get onto the next story here because I don't have a lot of time. I do have a meeting shortly across town here in Las Vegas. So anyway, let's see. What's the next? I'll get into this story. This looks interesting. And for those that are going, stop the Trump bashing, we should hold every single person accountable. And if Obama does something and we call it out and then Trump does it and we just say, it's just trust the plan. What are we doing, guys? How many times are we going to go over this? Anyway, into the next story. And for those just tuning in, I'm going to do the report live. Then I'm going to sign out. Don't go anywhere. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere yet. So don't exit out of the video. It's just a way that we shoot these videos live. It makes it easier for all of us. Anyway, let's get into this. All right, as this article from CNBC says, President Trump announces new 5G initiatives. It's a race America must win, he says. And oh man, we can go all day into 5G and we will go further into it in a moment. But first, let's talk about this story. Let's go through the article. And you, of course, see the FCC dude over there. As the article says, President Donald Trump and the FCC said on Friday, announced several initiatives to spur 5G network growth in the U.S. The race to 5G is on and America must win, Trump said, noting that 92 5G markets will be ready by the end of the year, outpacing South Korea, which is on pace to have 48 markets live by the end of 2019. It's a race our great companies are now involved in, Trump said. According to some estimates, the wireless industry plans to invest $275 billion in 5G networks, creating 3 million American jobs quickly and adding $500 billion to our economy. Oh man, 5G is the next generation of wireless network that will enable faster data speeds. Unlike 4G LTE, which mainly targeted mobile phones, tablets, and computers, 5G is also expected to enable more reliable connections on self-driving vehicles that will need a constant data connection and smart cities that use Internet of Things devices such as connected street lamps, traffic lights, and more. AT&T and Verizon have already have fledgling 5G networks in the United States, and T-Mobile and Sprint plan to activate their networks later in 2019. Only one phone from Motorola offered on Verizon supports 5G in the U.S. right now. To accelerate and incentivize these investments, my administration is freeing up as many wireless spectrum as needed. I won't go on with that, Trump said. We're removing regularity barriers to the build-out of networks. The FCC is taking very bold action, bolder than they've ever taken before, to make wireless spectrum available. Spectrum is the airwaves networks used to provide internet to devices. Spectrum space is regulated by the FCC. Trump's comments come in tandem with announcements the FCC made Friday. The FCC said that starting on December 10th, it will offer the largest spectrum auction in our nation's history, allow carriers bid on 3,400 megahertz of new spectrum in the upper 37 gigahertz, 39 gigahertz, and 47 gigahertz spectrum bands. The additional spectrum would promote the development of 5G, the Internet of Things, and other advanced spectrum-based services, the FCC said. Additionally, the FCC proposed new rules that allow fixed satellite service operators to provide faster, more advanced services to their customers using 50 gigahertz spectrum. It also said that current rules impair the ability of users to deploy small next-generation networking devices on their own property, particularly in rural areas, and proposed changes that would allow people to install hub and relay antennas on their property to help spur 5G networks. The FCC aims to create a $20.4 billion rural digital opportunity fund to extend high-speed broadband up to 4 million homes and high-speed business in rural America, FCC Chairman Ajit Pai said. Pai also addressed the crackdown on Huawei's equipment for use in 5G networks across the U.S. and Europe. We believe, and I quote, "We believe that the security and reliability of 5G is absolutely important, not just as a matter of national competitiveness, but also as a matter of national security," Pai told CNBC's Eamon Javers. I have been very encouraged by my conversations with our European allies all across the continent about the importance of security and 5G networks. The need to have a framework to understand the risk profile of certain equipment and services is something most allies recognize, and it's just a collaborative process of making sure that we have a framework that works for everybody. So let's go into this a bit, because obviously we've talked about 5G a lot here at WAM, and first of all, before we go into the health and all that kind of stuff and the insinuation of rolling this out on a wide scale, let's talk about how completely inefficient it is. And any telecom person will say, the backbone you need, the hubs you need, you have to basically have hubs in front of every house for this to even be efficient. And this rollout, billions of dollars of stolen funds as well, going into rolling this out in rural communities where it's least likely to really catch steam says a lot about how desperate they are to unroll this. This isn't like all the time when they come out with these ideas of convenience, there's always another motive to it. And the government doesn't do anything that they don't personally benefit from. And I'll tell you, they will benefit from this. And it comes in ways of the technocratic superstate that we've been talking about so much here at WAM before, going back to 1972 or 1971 when Henry Kissinger met with Mao Zedong, leading into the Trilateral Commission's creation by Zbigniew Brzezinski and the push for a rollout of a technocratic superstate, and using China as a test ground where we see facial recognition, social credit scores, and this use of, well, I mean, just the idea of using 5G. It would be perfect to have a complete control and tracking system for every single human being. You don't need chips in your hand. You just need a face. I mean, this is a very, very detrimental to all of our safety and all of our freedoms long term. This basically is giving up serious fundamental abilities to be off the radar, to not be tracked, to have some form of privacy, folks. This is not good. The idea, I'm a fan of automation and self-driving cars to an extent because actually automation does technically, statistically lead to more jobs than it kills jobs overall, and opens up new markets and new innovations and new ideas and new things like what we've seen with like the internet, for example, and cryptocurrency, blockchain, all that. But when I see places like China, and then it's Sweden as well, and Australia and Japan and all these places rolling out this system, it's very, very, very concerning to me because I know what this implementation means. It's also a war on our health because this isn't tried and true. We are being used as guinea pigs in this experiment on our very being. I mean, think of it like this. What the National Cancer Institute will actually admit to is that it actually stops the development of what do you call it, melatonin, of the ability for your body to hormonally produce melatonin. And that can lead to a higher risk of cancer. And that's just what the National Cancer Institute will actually admit to. But then on top of that, there's all the other concerns that are where people talk about it could be used like as a weapon of war. And it's like high frequency devices and what it can do to people's brains. And maybe even if it's not a tumor in the brain, it can be used to make people feel sick. And I know many people who are very conscious about this, where they're around a cell phone tower and they feel sick and get headaches. I get headaches if I'm around a cell phone tower too much. And they're putting these hubs outside of children's bedrooms. Don't you think that maybe we should look at this a little bit better before we just go into this whole, like, just allow the government to unroll multi-billion-dollar stolen tax funds to put in this huge system that they can use easily to control us better out of desperation as the economy teeters on collapse, and they need to unroll their centrally planned cashless system and be able to have more control over us. This is all very dangerous if we allow it to just simply roll out without any question. So what do we do next? The free market could prevail in this sense, where we can build up a system that's safe for everyone. But, I mean, is this 5G network really necessary to this extent? Aren't there better ways? What about fiber optic cables? They're actually more efficient than anything. But no, we need the convenience. It's all under the guise of convenience every single time. And I'm getting really concerned about how fast they're trying to roll this out. And it seems like it's just a desperation move by them because they know what's coming next. They're being replaced, and they're trying to win the battle, win the race to the finish line, to have control over us before we eradicate them, before we replace them with a system that is based on individual demand and individuals in general, rather than a giant organized crime racket we call government. So Trump wants to win this battle. I think recently he said he wanted 6G. Well, they're actually starting to develop that as well. So that's next, actually. But we got to stand up against this, folks. This is, I'm just thinking about not just me and all, like the rate of cancer rising so dramatically and everything like that, and the control complex and everything, and the inefficiency and the money stolen, but also the children of the future that we're using as guinea pigs in this case. It's so sick. And regardless of what you think about 5G, don't you think there should be better studies done into this? Oh, maybe it's not ionizing radiation of any kind. But does that mean that it's not harmful at all? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I'm listening to a lot of scientists that are coming out and saying this is dangerous, and that makes me concerned. And that makes me concerned about how fast they're rolling this out and saying, I don't really care what you guys think. We're government. We get to do whatever we want, and we get to benefit ourselves and build a giant control complex, and you guys just have to sit by and take it. Either way, with collectivism, 51% ruling the 49%, and of that 51% that won because they think their ideas deserve being forced on other people, of that 51%, what, 0.001% of those people get to make those decisions, if that, and then they restrict the rest of us? I wouldn't even agree. Like, I can't tell my neighbor, me, one person versus another person, one person, what to do. And this brainwashed Stockholm syndrome that people have, that we can just get together, vote for people, like going back to Greece, ancient Greece, like that's ever worked, and just keep replacing the bad guy with the bad guy with the bad guy, because maybe this bad guy will stop this bad guy, change we can believe in, blah, 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 over and over again, because we think our ideas are better than others, and then we need to force them on other people. How long have we been doing that, and how much has that worked? And look what has become of it. An incremental frog boil of true collectivism and control, and a rollout of a massive complex that risks all of our lives. So anyway, I appreciate you guys joining us today, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. All right. There's another report down. Some things I'm seeing in the chat there that I am not going to repeat. I understand the emotions. We need to think logically with this, guys, though. We can't get into the emotional side of things and do anything that will simply hurt our cause and hurt ourselves as well. There's better ways to go about it. I think the best way to deal with this is unroll our own competitive systems that replace that system that the government's unrolling, because historically the free market is far more efficient than the government. So anyway, let's see. We got some comments. Red Rum Twin says, Josh, they are killing us. I completely agree they are. And of course, it's disgusting, but we cannot allow our emotions to get the best of us, because they want that. They want us to be emotional. Emotion means not thinking logically. Emotion means not making the best decisions. So we need to think a little bit smarter than they are. They got the power to blow us up. We have the power to innovate and replace, and we need to educate. And I think that's really important going forward. Let's see. Anyway, I want to get into another story here. And again, for those that are just tuning in, I do the report live, and then I cut it, and then I keep talking to you guys. So don't go anywhere after I close off the report. It's just how I run it, so I can cut them out and repost them later, because I don't have a lot of time lately, and I've been sick, and I got a lung infection right now. Apparently I have pneumonia. Third time in my life I get pneumonia. It's ridiculous. And I've been just taking vitamins and eating healthy. It's so, whatever. What am I going to do? I've been getting a lot of advice. Honestly, I'm just going to do the best I can to survive here. That's our goal in life. And I've been listening to J. Edward Griffin a lot and looking at what he's doing. I'm going to focus on whatever he's doing, because he's 88. And I posted a video earlier today showing his diet and what he does to live a long life and be healthy. He's healthier than most 45-year-olds I know. Anyway, Andrea Z says, eat a lot of vitamin C. I do. A ridiculous amount of vitamin C. More than the World Health Organization or whatever says I should take. Anyway, let's get into the next story. I don't know what I'm doing here. I just get these links up. I get these headlines, and I hope that I read the story and that something comes out of it and something flows, and sometimes you guys can watch me fail and whatever it might be. I don't know. But anyway, Red Rum Twins, trust me, raw ginger, been doing that as well. I just had a ton of raw ginger an hour ago. Anyway, let's get into the next story. I just got to load it up on my screen here. There's so much more involving Trump and technocratic superstate that I probably should have brought into the last one, including he just signed an executive order on EMP preparedness, stuff like that. Anyway, but I'm going to get into a more economic issue here, which I know a lot of our viewers will like. So anyway, let's get into this. All right, so as this CNBC article says, Alan Greenspan says economy will start to fade very dramatically because of entitlement burden. I don't know, Alan Greenspan. I feel like the economy will start to fade due to vast money printing, quantitative easing, or tightening. It doesn't matter the form of centralization. Interest rates going up or down, it's going to go negative anyway. We're all on the edge of a cliff here. The bond market is like a bloodbath, and the yield curve data just shows it's something that has always shown recession on the near horizon, which we will get into further in a moment. But first, I want to go into the story. So as the article goes into, economic growth won't last as the U.S. labor under the burden of growing entitlement programs and weakness around the world, former Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan told CNBC. The longtime central bank chief repeated his warnings about the weight that Social Security, Medicare, and other programs are having on what have been otherwise solid gains over the past few years. I think the real problem is over the long run. We've got the significant continued drain coming from entitlements, which are basically draining capital investment dollar for dollar, he told CNBC's Sarah Eisen during a Squawk on the Street interview. Weird name for a show. Without any major change in entitlements are going to rise. Why? Because the population is aging. There's no way to reverse that, and the politics of it are awful, as you well know, Greenspan added. While he said the economy looks reasonably good in the short run, he expects that over the long term, growth fades very dramatically. The man known as the Maestro, good name for an organized crime boss, while he ran the Fed 19 years from the Reagan to the George W. Bush administration, spoke as signs for growth have turned more positive lately. In its latest GDP forecast, the Atlanta Fed now sees the increase running at 2.3%. A month ago, the tracker had put the level at 0.2%. However, Greenspan said much of the improvement has come from a rise in stock market prices. He sees a stock market aura in the economy. A rise of 10% in the S&P 500 corresponds to a 1% real GDP increase, he said. The S&P 500 has risen nearly 16% in 2019 and is on track for its best performance in history should current trends hold. The economy is going to begin to fade out because Europe is not doing well and will still have a problem where there's a very substantial fiscal problem associated with entitlements. So, okay, it's not a very detailed article, obviously, and doesn't go into the meat and potatoes of all of this, but let's kind of go into this quickly, guys, because first of all, I want to mention something that I first learned in the book End the Fed by Ron Paul years ago, which pointed out that Alan Greenspan knows about this stuff. He's actually mostly anti-fiat currency. He knows about the problems of centralization. Imagine, it's not just stupidity, imagine the evil of someone that knows about this stuff but perpetuates it and enforces it, and it leads into this horrific poverty, the destruction of middle class, the inflation, the price of living, which hurts wages, which people go in circles with, which they say we need to raise wages, instead of looking at the problem that causes the wages to not be able to have a lot of purchasing power on the market. We are looking at an evil person. And the Federal Reserve System, like, no matter what, gold standard, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that you have a legal tender system which tells people that they have to use a certain currency and that they cannot use any other currency, otherwise capital gains is an investment, blah, 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 the government's going to extort you. And it kind of pigeonholes people, and then the people are forced to pay off the interest on the debt on a contract they never signed, usury that they never agreed to. It's involuntary. And you know how I feel about involuntary things, of course, for those that watch us often. The economy is on the brink of disaster, and it has for a long time. And people will say, you've been saying this for a long time, and they'd be right in saying that. I said it in 2006. I warned about 2007 and 2008 at that time. And you know how old I was? I was 12. Because it isn't that difficult to understand this system. You read a couple books, and it basically lays out the very easy economic lessons that are completely basic. Everything from Hazlitt to, Rothbard to Mises to Hayek. It's really, really not a difficult system to comprehend. These central planners make it complicated by adding numbers and symbols and piling paper on top of paper and hoping that people will get too confused and freaked out to actually focus on it and try and understand it. So, first of all, I just want to mention, as it kind of went into or alluded to at the beginning, so the yield curve is inverted. That's always shown recession on the horizon. And then at the same time, all fiat currencies throughout all of history have eventually reverted to their true value of zero. They always have, they always will, going back to 1024 AD in China. So I should mention, it doesn't matter Trump, Obama, Bush, Clinton, Reagan, Bush, whatever, Carter, it doesn't matter. Like, people keep focusing on presidents. Like, let's replace the puppet, let's replace the leader, let's replace the talking head to fix the economy. That isn't how it works. Like, we've reported lately how, Trump is trying to push Herman Cain for the board of the Federal Reserve, of course, and then Stephen Moore, who's a Fed critic, and everyone's like, he's going after the Fed. He's not going after the Fed. He's saying that they should lower interest rates 0.5%. How is that going after the Fed? Same with Kudlow. How is that going after the Fed? That's saying that they just want a different kind of cancer, a different kind of centralization, and people mix that into whatever makes them comfortable and, confirms their bias. Their idea that they must be right, that they need to be comfortable in this lie, this deception that some president is going to save them. Organized crime doesn't solve organized crime. Cancer doesn't cure cancer. Kerosene doesn't put out fire. Doesn't matter what the intention of the president is anyway, because presidents don't have a say. They are the talking head. So, folks, we have to stop depending on the same criminals that are creating the problem in the first place, the same complex, to solve this problem, and stop looking to maybe the Fed can change this thing or that thing when it's not going to change the root cause of the problem. The destruction of the middle class, the interest on the debt that people are paying off in mass, how it props up wars. The monetary system is propped up by wars, and wars are propped up by the monetary system. They depend on each other. That's why we see so many crises followed by wars, going back to World War I, of course. We need to stop this, folks. We need to look at independent, individual, free market, decentralized options here. And there's more solutions than problems. But the economy is eventually going to fall. We cannot say when, but we know it will happen. And for that reason, we must be prepared. And it's stupid not to be. So in that case, look at properly decentralized, fundamentally useful cryptocurrencies, technology, as well as gold and silver, and diversify, in my opinion. Not investment advice. And it's not about investment, it's about preserving your purchasing power and having wealth insurance. But, overall, we need to replace this system on the free market. If we do not obey, if we do not submit, it only takes a few of us, a small percentage of us, to really overthrow this whole system. It doesn't lead to us protesting in the streets and asking people to do things for us. It comes down to you as an individual, as a responsible, free, self-sustainable individual. Stop looking for people to save us from ourselves, to save us from the things that those people are committing in the first place. I don't know. It's been going on for 1,000 years in the case of fiat currencies, and it's just really frustrating to go over this over and over again. And people say, well, maybe Trump. People said maybe Obama. People said Bush at the time. I remember. I remember looking back at the 2000 election, and Bush was talking about auditing the Fed. Whatever happened to that? He was also pretty non-interventionist. Whatever happened to that? How many times are we going to go over this? Over and over again. Always the anti-establishment candidate, quote unquote, wins. And we just depend more and more and more and sit back apathetically waiting and waiting. And people keep saying it's not apathy to support, Trump and sit back because he's doing things for us. No, you need to do things for yourself. Stop being a dependent slave. Government is organized crime. You do not have a right to enforce your ideas on other people. You don't want socialists enforcing their ideas on you. So why should you think that it's any morally better to think you have a good idea and enforce those ideas on everyone else? It's not how this works. Government is organized crime. Central banks are organized crime. They work hand in hand. They prop up monopolies, destroy competition, destroy small businesses, destroy the impoverished, destroy people, push them into dependency, and then those people that are dependent beg for help from the government just by design. And that is exactly where they want you. If Trump had any say over this, he would be shot in the head by the establishment. Stop fooling yourself, folks. Stop being dependent. Stop waiting for help and help yourself. Help yourself, help your family, grow your wealth, preserve your wealth, be a free individual. Self-responsibility, individual responsibility is a hallmark of freedom itself, and government cannot give you freedom. They can only take it away, and maybe if they legalize something, they could give it back to you at a price, and that price is extortion and monopolization. Stop being dependent, folks, and pave your own paths. And stop thinking that this criminal organization that's been elected over and over again with different puppets, different heads, different anti-establishmentarianists, or whatever you want to call it, for thousands and thousands of years going back to ancient Greece is going to change anything. It's been thousands of years, and it's only been an incremental frog boil into further collectivism as we get poorer, and the world gets more and more crazy, and we get more and more controlled, and we are led to the slaughter like a bunch of stupid sheep on a farm surrounded by fence, acting as if, oh, it's all good. We got a new leader. He expanded the fenced area a bit, so we got a little bit more area to roam. We got grass to eat, so I feel free. Oh, wait, what's that guy over there? That shepherd. He's telling me to come over there. Okay, I'm going to go follow him. He's giving me all this grass. I better follow him. Oh, what's that big cutting device? Why is he shaving the fluff off of me? Well, wait, why is he killing me? We keep getting led off to the slaughter with a smile on our face, and we can't continuously be slaves like this. It's not 1984 anymore. It's 2084. We've gone far and beyond. And we need to end this now, as a cashless society, centrally planned cashless society, is unrolled on our doorstep, and they're getting desperate. You know why they're getting desperate? Because they know they can lose to us. And we must ensure that they do lose. But that comes down to you as an individual. Not protest, not revolution, evolution. And that evolution comes from technology and the rollout of new technology that we can innovate on that market and grow the market from individual demand rather than collectivist slavery and enforcement. You do not have a right over your neighbor. You only have a right over yourself. Stop putting kerosene on fire. Anyway, until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. All right, guys. Oh, I'm tired. I'm very, very tired. I think that's going to be the last story I do today. Yeah, I should have mentioned how that's been rolling out in Venezuela with Dash and everything. Bronson Ryan says voluntarism or death. I thought he meant Dash. Anyway, whatever. I'm really tired. Like I said, I've been really sick lately, so I'm going to just... I'm going to tune out right away. I have a meeting coming up, and there's some interesting information that I want to bring to all you guys soon regarding an event that I might be involved in. And lots of really good stuff happening in the crypto, anarchist, voluntarist, libertarian communities lately, and I'm really excited about all of it. The economic truth. John Snyson says in the comments, just got the live stream notification. Oh, yeah, at least he got it at some point, 41 minutes into the video. I mean, I really appreciate seeing at one point 90-something people tuning in. But it's out of 120,000 people, as if that's not shadow banned. I mean, come on, think about it. That's less than, what's that, 0.1%? Less than 0.1% of our viewers? It's so absurd. Anyway. Red Rum Twins, I appreciate your passion for all of this. I would say, you asked, can I come live with you? I would say we don't really do that. I don't even know how to do that really, but overall, I've seen some of your comments and I understand your feeling about a lot of this, but I would be taken down off YouTube so fast if you were saying some of the things you've been saying in the comments on the screen. My channel would get deleted. But I appreciate all that. I appreciate the offers and I really appreciate the support and everyone tuning in, but I do have to be very careful about what I do here at WAM, especially these days as they are cracking down so heavily and I gotta watch my every move. But anyway, Crypto Future sent a $5 super chat. It says, did you ever do your research on the material that they put in front of the sun so you can interview me? If not, just please consider interviewing me. I know I've gotten your message, man. I really appreciate the super chat. But keep in mind, I'm bouncing back and forth between countries. I haven't been able to do almost anything. If you look at my channel, I've barely got any videos up lately. It's basically just been Tim Pashot, our latest WAM contributor here, because it's been crazy, and then I'm going to Africa right away. So I would say we're probably waiting a couple months before anything like that can happen, to be completely honest. Red Rum Twin says, Josh, crypto needs buy goods or it's useless, right? Will ever let Walmart sell in crypto? I'm kind of confused as to what you mean, but nothing needs to be physically backed. It just needs to have a use case, a usefulness. It needs to be innovative. It needs to, and in my opinion, it should be decentralized. It doesn't have to be, but it should be. The internet is not a physical thing. It's based on, the spread of information, but so is cryptocurrency. It just depends on the innovation of the cryptocurrency in a highly volatile, highly competitive market. Wait, let me just go back up the conversation there. What he said about Walmart. Or is it, will government ever let Walmart sell in crypto? I don't know if they'll ever let it. Walmart has gotten big grants and everything from the government as well. I'm not a fan of Walmart. I don't really care if Walmart accepts it, but eventually, if the market provides the right way, they will be forced to, just by public demand and everything, and it'll benefit them. And already they have those coin things. You know, those change machines? They're implementing Bitcoin on those things now. And people are going to Safeway, Walmarts all across the United States and Canada, and they are buying Bitcoin at these machines. So the rollout's happening. When we'll see a bull market, I was just talking to Paul Poi of Edge, great wallet by the way, and he was telling me a bit about his idea of like a bull market. Is it a bull market? Is it not just subjective until we get to the point where it reaches our previous highs? Is it true that we can only really call it a bull market when it hits the highs that it hit before? So when Bitcoin hits like 19,500 or 20,000, depending on the exchange you base it on, isn't that when you really start calling it a bull market? I mean, it's subjective. Like at 18,000, I would call it a bull market. At 15,000, I would call it a bull market. But technically, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bull market at that point, because I mean, you look at 2015 to 2017, and when did we really start calling it a bull market? Well, when it passed the $1,500 mark again after years. Anyway, it's an interesting analysis worth looking into. Red Rum Twins sent $100 super chat. Wow. I really appreciate that, man. That's awesome. That helps a lot. I hope you don't take offense to like what I'm saying about, just being careful about bringing people online here at WAM, because obviously there are certain things, like for the sake of the spread of our information in general, there's certain things we don't want to do for the sake of, we don't want to lose a channel and then we won't be able to reach any of you anymore. It's amazing what they can take channels down over now, which is exactly why we have a subscribe star page, which allows us to better do the stuff that we call not safe for YouTube. If we post subscriber only content on this site, that allows us to get around the fact that YouTube won't allow us to really say things anymore. It's really sketchy, because like I want to spread all this information, and YouTube, the one good thing about it is it isn't exactly an echo chamber as much as all these other alternatives, which I do love and I support, but that's the one good thing about YouTube. It's not an echo chamber necessarily, though it is increasingly getting so. But if I say one thing that I get taken down for, that means all my other information gets taken down too. So that means it's a domino effect, and then I can't reach people with any of the information. So I have to pick and choose sometimes. And the stuff that is too dangerous for me to say on YouTube, which I used to say all the time, but I'm not allowed to anymore, basically because they will block our channel from being seen, then I have to do on Subscribestar. So I'll be doing subscriber only content, not safe for YouTube content on there soon. I believe, let's see, do we have it linked in the description below? Yeah, we do. We have Subscribestar linked in the description below the live stream. But anyway, like I really, really appreciate that, Red Rum Twins. That's awesome. $100 super chat goes a huge way for us, and it keeps us alive because we are getting ripped to shreds on YouTube lately. Casey Allison says, try D Live. I want to. I've been a little bit worried about how a bunch of their videos, when it was on Steam and it switched blockchains, how they just like deleted a whole bunch of people's videos without giving them any heads up on it. But I know with PewDiePie going there, lots of good stuff going to happen there. I've been waiting so long for PewDiePie, who has more power than all the mainstream medias combined, doing something like that. It's a beautiful thing. I've known, like, YouTube has treated him so badly over the years. I knew eventually it was going to happen. I do have to go, though. I'm noticing we're 49 minutes into this video, and I do have a meeting to get to in 10 minutes, a 10-minute drive away. So I do have to go. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys make it worth it my while to do this. I love doing this regardless, but having people watch, it's an honor. I'm going to have videos going up with John Snyson soon, Ancient Civilizations videos, more Tim Pashot videos, which I hope you guys check out. Give him a chance. He does great videos. He has great information, and he's growing with us, and I'm looking forward to that as well. You guys are all awesome, and you keep us alive and keep us up and kicking as the establishment does everything in their power to try and, well, destroy us. And, of course, they're going to. So anyway, thank you. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.